Welcome to segment 2 of Citizens Forum, being filmed on Tuesday, June the 2nd. I'd like to thank the volunteer crew and Shaw staff that makes this happen, and the Oak Bay debate team who took the first half hour of the show to talk about media and democracy. Our guest in this segment is Bryan Gilbert. Bryan has been involved in the issue of sewage treatment for years. You've been involved with the R.I.T.E plan, Bryan, which is pushing for tertiary treatment. It looked hopeless not that long ago, but things, I think, are looking better. So there is a new process, and how are you feeling about the way things look now?
Yeah, so we're airing now almost a week after the weekend workshops that happened at UVic and the Victoria Conference Centre. Public engagement. This process is now in the public domain, and that is a tremendous change. By keeping it, and it's going to keep on coming back in the public domain. There's another report back over and over and over again. So this iterative process in the public has dramatically changed the nature of this project. I'm feeling very positive about the potential now.
Okay. What happened? I was there on Saturday.
Yes, I saw you there.
What happened at the weekend workshops from your point of view, and what themes were there?
Yeah, well, I'm curious in your thoughts on what you saw too, because seeing it from different points of view. We start off with the attendance. It was really quite amazing to get the attendance. A lot of Saanich and Victoria citizens, some from Oak Bay. There was a large proportion that were new, had not been involved in the sewage debate before. They had these anonymous clickers that they could do a quick survey. So the Saturday event, 35% people had never been involved in sewage treatment before. 41% had been following this for a long time. So you had citizen experts, in a sense, and newbies. And then the Sunday event, more people actually showed up over the course of the day than on the Saturday. Same numbers again. A high proportion of people had never been involved before, and a high proportion that had been following it a lot, and then a few that had been following it the last 6 months. But the other interesting thing is on Sunday, 85% of the people were new to the Sunday event. So you didn't have, a Saturday people. People took time off. It was a beautiful weekend to come out. Hundreds of people. It's amazing to get that public engagement happening. And that is what's changed the nature of this for me. I really see some positive changes in that.
Okay. I was at UVic on Saturday.
Yeah.
We were sitting at a table. I was with just a few people, and there were many tables, talking about sites. Mm-hmm. And I was impressed with the expertise of the people who were at my table. And we very quickly made some decisions on sites. It was very easy to do because a lot of good information was presented to us by the experts. But underlying that was the idea that how can you decide on sites when you don't know the technology? Because a very small site in a neighborhood might make absolutely no sense, but if the technology is completely quiet and completely odor-free and the size of 1 or 2 houses, then it could fit very nicely into a neighborhood possibly.
Yes, that was a common theme. What you just said there about how can they talk about sites without knowing technology, that came back at the report back at the end of the days. People genuinely wanted to know the costs and the benefits of the various technologies in proportion to what was presented in the material. The material was a one size, the more standard baseline of the old CTR project, but the public was definitely. The theme was tertiary treatment. Just let's get right to it. Let's forget the secondary treatment. We want to treat the water to a tertiary level, which means it's clean when it goes back into the environment. From an economic point, that's an environmental benefit, right? From an economic benefit, that also, in my analysis, means we don't need to have new, long, deep ocean outfalls, which are expensive to build. It leads the option to use the water locally, or just discharge into local waterways very directly.
So in other words, if you had a tertiary plant close to the inner harbor, you can discharge what people call clean water.
Reclaimed water.
And it is safe to redeposit that right into the inner harbor. You don't need... Okay.
You need to be treating it to the right level.
Yes.
And the plants go through rigorous testing daily like Dockside does. Dockside, that plant is tested every day, and their reclaimed water it passes the test beyond their operational certificate every single day, and they've done that every single day since they started operation.
Okay.
So that's the type of level of running operation we expect to have. Not only is it like expect to be clean, but it exceeds that when it goes into the environment.
Okay.
That's what we should have.
Okay.
And yes, then you save your ocean outfall. You don't have to build a new outfall. It does take some time to get the environmental permit, but it's feasible and it can be done fairly quickly, relatively quickly compared to secondary. That was the theme.
Okay.
People want that. That's now a given. And so the next time we see this come back to the public, I expect that that's just going to be part of the normal set of solutions, tertiary treatment.
And can you just explain what does tertiary treatment mean? It means the water that's coming out is clean, but a lot of, the toxins and everything else, where do they go and how are they dealt with?
Great question. That is exactly the type of questioning we need. Thank you. That's really great, Jack. That's the type of question the public needs to be asking. So on the water side, tertiary is goes through all the secondary treatment, which means all the pathogens are looked after and taken out. But it goes through ultrafine filtration to filter out viruses and bacteria and any non-soluble elements, chemicals and stuff, chemicals of concern. But there's still some soluble things can get out beyond that filtration. So you need other treatments like advanced oxidization, ultraviolet treatment, and some others. You need to get it extra clean before it goes. Again, very much like the Dockside facility puts out. They put their water into the nature right there. There's a beautiful nature park. The other thing is now the residuals, and you have to deal with the residuals. They're full of all those pollutants that we didn't.
The residuals is what's left over.
Yeah, the sludge.
Okay.
And this is what the R.I.T.E plan is looking at. As I mentioned last time we were on the segment, a vendor came forward that's proposing gasification. Gasification is a means of very, very economically, completely destroying the pollutants and converting them to energy and a revenue stream at the same time. So this is now the technology we need to have experts come in and tell us more about.
Okay, so let's take a pharmaceutical. I've got a pharmaceutical, I don't want it anymore, I throw it down the sink, it's going into our sewage system, and you're saying that a tertiary, a good system can take that pharmaceutical
out of the water,
and
destroy it as it's going through the last phases,
and kind of just magically remove it. It's gone.
Well, it's filtered out,
okay,
and the filtering process brings it into the residuals, the sludge.
So now you've got the residual, but it's still there.
Yes.
And what am I going to do with it? Because it's there as a residual, it's dangerous. We don't want it on the land. We don't want it on the water.
And we don't want it
in the air.
We don't want to incinerate. We don't want to burn it. That's right. And
so we gasify.
Gasification is that process I explained last time, which just converts it to energy. 95% energy, 5% inert ash. It's just super high temperature. It is not a burning process. It's a vaporization process.
Okay. And it
so
works.
Yeah, that does it. It gets rid of, turns anything organic into carbon and converts it. The only thing that would be left would be a heavy metal. Those don't get gasified, and there's very few of them. And by the way, back to the pharmaceuticals and dumping it down the drain, we have a great source control program here. In CRD, we do good. We actually recover thousands of kilograms every year in pharmaceuticals through at the pharmacy. It's a good program. But it's not so much the pharmaceuticals we drop down the drain, it just comes through our body and other things that we have to have, or hospitals and things. So there are so many chemicals of concern that happen. We're producing more all the time. Even though we start to ban some, like microplastics are finally starting to be talked about being banned, there's now microfibers, as I said, off of our fabric. And so there's more coming all the time. So tertiary treatment, public expects that. Now we need to deal with them. And the best solution we've heard about is gasification. And that's what we're really looking forward to having the next round of discussion, bringing in these experts to tell us more about it. It's a complex process. It's simple and complex. If it's done well, it's simple. If you get the right mix, you get the right push of the right feedstock in, you have a demand consuming the energy, it's simple. But when things aren't designed well, then it can be complex.
Do you need something the size of a football field in order to do this?
No. That's
Okay.
a great question too, Jack. I understand
Wow.
these are about, these are really excellent. They're about 10 feet square and I think 3 meters tall. So this is a module. They're suitable for very small communities, and then you just chain up a number of these. They're modular.
Right.
So if you want 6, the estimate I had was about 10 of these units, maybe 8 to 10 units would be necessary for the whole region. So they could be all in one central plant, or they could be distributed where they could be used, where you could use the energy, such as, say, a greenhouse growing food.
Okay. What was your feeling about all of this a year ago?
Oh my gosh, it was optimistic, but boy, it was just, we couldn't seem to kill the old plan. There were so many flaws in that plan. It is such a relief, and we have dodged a major $2 to $3 billion bullet.
Okay. And do you feel that that is actually, it's gone?
We hope. I'm feeling extremely optimistic. Yes,
Okay.
the success is on the horizon.
And I'm very, very glad to hear that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I guess we should thank a lot of people who've worked very hard to make this happen.
Mayor Atwell, for winning his election, was key. The way Esquimalt handled the whole situation, the way that Lisa has now taken charge, we would be nowhere without that leadership. That's what we've needed, leadership. Someone to really engage the public, bring in the technical community, and just get the ball rolling. And now that it's positively rolling, this is where we need the public still to get in. Mistakes can be made. This is a huge project. We really need the public to get up to speed a little bit and be part of it so we don't make some big mistakes.
Okay. Yeah. Bryan Gilbert, thank you very much for all the work you and so many others have done over the past years.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching this segment of Citizens Forum.